Boldwood presents The Paradise Hookup, written by Christy McKellen and read by Laura Kerman and Ludo Morgan. Chapter 1. Delilah. I've always joked with people that I'm the evil twin. I'm not evil, though, I promise you. I don't have the mustache for it. But if you ask my father which of us would be the most likely to save the world and which would wreck it, Bea would definitely rock the hero role. Not that I hold that against her, especially since she's currently out trying to save me from getting fired from my dream job after I made a slight wardrobe miscalculation and put myself in hospital. Don't walk down steep stairs in new high heels, kids. But don't panic, I'm okay. My ankle looks like a prize-winning turnip and my pride has taken a severe dent. But other than that, I'm good. It does hurt, though. The fact I'm desperately trying to hide from Jem, my sister's business partner and best friend from uni, and the guy who can make my blood boil just by raising his condescending eyebrow in my direction. Which he does a lot. You'll do yourself a mischief one day making faces like that, I mutter at the side of his head after just such an occurrence, as he turns back from berating me for putting Bea out today to stare through the windscreen of the taxi he's come to collect me in from A&E. I have to admit, I was shocked when he messaged to ask how I was doing earlier. He's the last person I thought would care. Except for maybe my dad. He's not exactly the nurturing type either. I'm much more likely to get a lecture from him about all the ways I'm going to mess my life up unless I follow his advice to the nth degree. Which, of course, I'm not going to do. But I am going to prove to him I'm not the hot mess he takes me for, even if it bloody kills me. Jem, my other nemesis, is it possible to have two? Surely they're meant to be inimitable. Is ignoring me now. It's his usual modus operandi around me, so I'm not entirely surprised by this. Which is why I was blown away when he suggested he'd pick me up from the hospital after my X-ray. Though any warm feelings this brought about turned immediately tepid the moment I saw the expression on his face as he stomped into the waiting room to find me there with my leg propped on the seat opposite and a pair of crutches leaning jauntily against the wall beside me. Seriously, Dee, how do you manage to attract so much chaos? He'd muttered, directing the first, but definitely not the last, eyebrow raise of the day at me. I don't need a lecture from you, Mr. Living by Numbers, thanks very much, I'd quipped back, flashing him a serene smile. Maybe so, but I happen to have two working legs, so who's winning at life right now? He'd pointed out. I'd have to give him that. My ankle was killing me, and I was desperate to get out of the hospital with its migraine-inducing overhead lights and disinfectant with an underlying stench of sweat smell. Why are you here, anyway, if it's such a major disruption for you? I'd asked. Because Bea's going to be worrying about you, so I thought I'd help her out by making sure you didn't get yourself into any more trouble between leaving the hospital and getting back to her flat. So you're doing this for her, then, not me? Got it in one. Charming, which is actually a word I'd never used to describe Jem. He's the most uptight, po-faced. Thanks, mate, I hear him say to the driver now as we pull up outside Bea's flat, which is currently doubling as her and Jem's office, as well as the place I'm going to be staying today. Because there's a snowflake's chance in hell I'm getting up the steep stairs to my flat with my ankle in this state. So there'll be no reprieve from his snarky presence for a while. Jem gets out, and to my surprise, strides round to my side of the car and opens my door for me, holding out his hand in a helpful manner. How gentlemanly of you, I say with a grin, putting out my own hand to be taken. He doesn't return my smile and ignores my proffered digits. Pass me your crutches, he says with a reproving expression on his face. Huh. I really don't need this attitude from him right now. I'm already feeling enough of an idiot as it is for hurting myself. But I guess I'll have to suck it up. I'd be struggling to get out of the cab and onto my crutches on my own right now, after all. So I slide them out from where they've been resting on the back seat and pass them to him, hoping my humiliation isn't showing on my toasty warm face. Why do these mishaps only ever seem to happen to me? By the time I've levered myself out of the cab, he's got them propped up straight, ready for me to fit them under my arms. "Thanks," I say in my sunniest voice, determined not to let him know how much his disapproval is getting to me. He just grunts. I make my way, as quickly as my injury will allow, up to the Bath townhouse Bee's looking after for our dad while it's being turned into flats. She's living in the already converted garden flat, which thankfully only means climbing down one short flight of steps to the front door, instead of up 3 precariously steep flights of stairs at my own place. Turning to watch me hobble to the top of the steps, Jem holds his hand out again, and this time I just thrust my crutches towards him and lean against the wall for support while he takes them down to the front door. On his return, he finally deigns to touch me by sliding his arm around my middle so I can lean on him and hop down the stone steps on one leg. The moment we reach the bottom, he immediately releases me, as if it's horrifying to be close to my body. Lets us in with his key, then strides off towards the kitchen. "Want a cup of tea? I'm putting the kettle on," he calls back to me. Okay, so he can't be that pissed off if he's willing to make me a hot drink. Look, I do recognise that he's probably a good guy deep down. If Bee likes him, then he has to be, I guess. She's a smart cookie and one of the kindest people I know. Too kind, maybe. But it's the way he looks at me, like I'm something unsavoury he's stepped in, that turns him from hero to Captain Zero in my estimation. "I'd love one," I purr at him, determined not to let him see how much he bothers me. Because he does bother me. I've tried to be friendly whenever we've been around each other, but it's like he's determined not to like me, no matter what I do. I get that I'm not as serious a person as he and Bee are, but I'm not rude or unkind, just a bit unfocused, maybe. Clearly, this doesn't sit well with him, and he lets me know it every chance he gets. At least it feels that way. I've installed myself on Bee's king-sized bed, propping my back up against her pillows and my foot up on the cushions from her chaise longue, when Jem comes into the room, carrying a mug of tea. He puts it onto the bedside table next to me without a word, and immediately turns to go. "Jem," I say, not entirely sure what I'm going to ask him, but experiencing a strong urge to delay him leaving me right away. I'm feeling a bit antsy now, and I know for sure that boredom is going to set in quickly once I'm on my own. "Yeah. Thanks again for coming to get me. Seriously, it was kind of you." "Sure. Can I help you with anything today? To make up for the time you've lost?" I flash him a gracious smile, hoping he'll take it the right way. "You can let me get back to work," he shoots back, his voice flat and cool. My insides squirm with humiliation. How does he always manage to make me feel like such a lowlife? "Fine," I reply, matching his cool tone. If that's the way he wants to play it, then so be it. I don't need his approval. His returning nod is curt, and he turns away and walks out of the room, closing the door firmly behind him. Humph. Okay, I'll leave him alone and let him work then. Alone, alone, alone. I'll be fine here on my own. I've got my phone and a couple of books I can read on my reading app, or I can watch a movie on the TV Bee has in here. My thoughts slide to my sister, and I wonder how she's getting on at my job. She's such a sweetheart to have agreed to step in and work there today, especially as it's meant she had to pretend to be me in front of my boss, who hopefully won't be around much today, so won't notice the switcheroo. We're identical twins, but our personalities are about as different as you can get, so it's not a given that we'll get away with it. And I know the subterfuge won't be sitting well with Bee. She's as straight as they come, and always does everything by the book. With any luck, the event we're running for my boss, Jonah's best buddy, will go smoothly today with Bee at the helm, and any thoughts he's been entertaining about firing me will slip permanently from his mind. I really hope so, because I can't afford to lose my job right now. It's a really well-paid role, which I'm totally unqualified for and was lucky to land. I think the gods must have been looking down on me the day I interviewed for it, because he hired me as his new marketing and events manager on the spot after only talking to me for a few minutes. I suspect he was desperate to fill the position quickly. I wasn't about to let on that I didn't know what the heck I was doing and that I'd fluffed up my CV with a few minor untruths. CBCV for reference. I figured I'd work it out on the job. Trouble is, it turns out there's a lot more to know about that role than I imagined. But the way I see it, I spotted an opportunity and took it. These things don't fall into your lap every day, so when they do, you have to grab them with both hands. Luckily, I have a brilliant sister who is very well qualified for it, even though she's chosen to set up a business with Jem instead of working for someone else. Bloody Jem. How can she stand to be around someone so uptight? I'd go crazy if I had to sit across from him and his condescending glare every day. I stare at the door that he walked through 20 minutes ago. He'll be plugged into his computer, coding right now. Living the dream. Some dream. I can't imagine how stultifying it must be to sit at a desk, typing nonsense onto a screen all day. At least I'm not doing that for a living. Forcing my thoughts away from my sister's aggravating business partner, I try reading for a bit, but neither of the books I start grab me. Then I doom scroll on social media for a while, but I can barely concentrate on the images flashing in front of my eyes, and they all seem to blur into one. I lean back and sigh, tapping my fingers against my mobile, aware of my nerves pulsing under my skin. My ankle is throbbing with pain, and it's making it impossible to concentrate. I'm not sure what to do with myself right now. I seem to have too much energy to sit still. I take a sip of my lukewarm tea. Jem's made it with just the right amount of milk. At least that's one positive about him. He makes a decent cuppa. I wonder what he's up to right now. I could actually be helpful if he'd let me. I could look through Bee's business emails and weed out the unimportant ones and alert Jem to anything that needs his immediate attention. Surely that would be useful, to have someone picking up the slack today. I can't just sit here. Swinging my legs off the bed, I tentatively stand up, putting most of my weight onto my good foot. Yeah, I can easily make it from here to the office where Jem is without my crutches. I'll just pop my head in and see if he can use me.
Chapter 2. Jem. It's less than an hour after I've left her when Dee appears in the office. No great surprise there. I knew she wouldn't be able to stay in that room all by herself. She seems to thrive on other people's energy and will have been going slowly stir-crazy on her own. From the moment I met her, she's rubbed me up the wrong way. There's just something about her attitude to life that gets my blood up. She may be an intelligent, attractive woman, like her sister, but she has none of Bee's emotional maturity and is very happy for other people to pick up the pieces she scatters around her as she bulldozes through life. I can't stand selfishness, and she epitomizes it. All she ever seems to do is take advantage of Bee's kindness, and I'm sick of it. I sigh and shoot her a resigned look as she inches into the room. "Do you need something?" I ask, trying to hide my irritation. She shrugs and gives me a cocky smile back, which I'm sure works wonders on all the guys she charms on a day-to-day basis, but totally fails to have any impact on me. Just thought I'd stretch my legs. It's a bit tedious sitting around in Bee's bedroom staring at the wall. Well, I'm really busy and I need to concentrate, so you can stretch them somewhere else, please. I don't make it a question. There's a short, tense pause. Yeah, sure. I just thought I'd see if I can help you with anything. I could check Bee's emails or something, she says. No, thanks, I've already done it. I continue to type. I just want her gone so I can focus on my work. After a few more beats of silence, she asks, "What's keeping you so busy today?" "Programming." Another pause. "What language do you program in?" I sigh and rub a hand over my eyes. So, she's not leaving then. "Python," I say, my tone short. "I'm sure there's a trouser snake joke in there somewhere," she says with a grin. I shake my head, suppressing a smile. "Do me a favour and refrain from telling it." Her grin morphs into a frown, and she huffs in frustration. "Okay, Captain Code. I was just trying to lighten the mood." "I don't need light. I need peace," I quip, turning back to stare at my screen. But Dee is clearly determined to get the recognition she craves. Limping over to me, she sits on the edge of my desk and rests her swollen foot on the arm of my spinny office chair. I ignore the blatant play for attention. "Are you sure I can't help with anything?" she asks, using what she obviously considers to be her most charming tone of voice. My skin rushes with heat as her citrusy scent hits my nose. "You can help by taking your foot off my chair," I say, determinedly not looking at her as I try to get my perplexing reaction under control. "I'm supposed to keep it elevated." "Yes, above your heart. You're not going to achieve that by sitting on my desk. You should go back to your room and lie on the bed with your leg propped up." I sense her scowling at the side of my head, but I don't react. Clearly, this doesn't sit well because she gives the arm of my chair a couple of gentle nudges in retaliation of my unfriendliness. I continue to ignore her, pretending I'm not even feeling the jolts. "I thought you'd brought me back here so you can play the hero and tell Bee you've looked after me while I'm in pain," she says in a teasing tone. "Contempt isn't a very heroic trait." Glancing at her now, I raise an incredulous eyebrow, then shake my head and look away again. I think I can actually feel the irritation crackling in the air around her. It may be a little childish, but I take a weird kind of satisfaction in it. She's so easy to wind up because she hates not being the centre of attention all the time. Bee thinks she acts this way because she says their father always treated Dee like she's second best, and for some reason she feels guilty about this. I can't say I've ever seen any need for it, but what do I know? I'm an only child, so I've never experienced sibling rivalry. Honestly, I think Dee's just a natural-born attention seeker. My vision of the computer screen is momentarily blocked when she leans across the desk to pick up the empty mug next to me. "Dee, for God's sakes, I'm trying to bloody work here," I snap before I can check myself. The disruption of having her in here has made me feel a little wired, and my blood seems to be pumping at double its usual rate through my veins. "Geez, Jem, you don't need to be such a grouch," she counters. "You're like a bloody cat, trying to climb all over my keyboard for attention," I say, aiming for levity. "Are you implying I'm a nuisance?" she says with a sting of hurt in her voice, sliding off the desk and sucking in a sharp breath as her ankle appears to give her pain. "Because I was actually about to go and make you a cup of tea, so there's no need to be unkind." I watch her limp away from me with my empty cup dangling from one finger, while she presses her other hand against the wall for support as she hobbles back to the door. I experience a twinge of shame. Bee would not be happy with me if she could hear how short I was being with her sister when she's clearly in a lot of pain. That's one of the things I love about Bee, her generosity and kindness. She's my ideal woman. Not that I'd tell her that, not right now, anyway. It would make things too weird between us, especially as we're working together. But maybe one day. There's a clattering sound from the kitchen, which drags me right out of my thoughts. What the hell is Dee doing in there? Well, whatever it is, I'm going to let her get on with it while I get back to doing some work. There's still a lot of engineering to be done on this software before it's in a workable enough state to demonstrate to prospective customers, assuming we ever get through on a bid to pitch to them. It's a risk, starting a business instead of getting a job with a firm right after university, but I prefer the idea of keeping control over the work I do, and I'll never get rich working for someone else, unless I get really lucky. After growing up in a household where we were always watching the pennies, I'd love to be in a position one day to be able to afford anything I want, without having to work out what I'd have to give up in order to have it. It would also take a lot of stress off me if I felt confident that I could pay for my mum's ongoing and increasingly complex care needs in the assisted living flat I've managed to get her into as well. We've already sold the family home my dad left her in his will in order to pay for it up till this point. But that money isn't going to last for much longer. It blew my mind to find out just how expensive care is for someone suffering with Alzheimer's. The worry about how I'm going to pay for it is starting to keep me up at night, and I was so tired this morning. I overslept and didn't even have time to shave. Pushing away the heavy, sinking feeling in my chest, I focused back on the screen and resumed typing for a few moments, but my concentration is shot. Perhaps a break and a cup of tea would help. If Dee really is making me one, she's gonna need help carrying it back in here. I can't imagine she's going to be able to hop back to my desk without it splashing all over her. I can imagine her trying it though, just to prove some kind of point, and the last thing I need right now is to have to take her back to A&E with burns. Jumping up from my chair, I make for the door, but just as I swing it open and start to walk through the doorway, Dee appears right in front of me, heading back into the office. As I predicted, she's carrying a cup of tea in one hand whilst using the other to steady herself against the wall. The surprise of my sudden appearance sets her off balance, and she jerks away from me, shouting, "Whoa!" Unfortunately, this wild movement causes some of the hot tea in the mug to slosh over the rim and up into the air, then splatter down onto the front of my shirt. There's a split second where I don't feel anything but the pressure of the liquid as it soaks the material against my skin. But the burning heat of it immediately follows, and I let out a yelp of alarm. Tugging my shirt out from where it's tucked into my trousers, I yank it up and over my head before the tea has time to scald me too badly. I'm vaguely aware of Dee hopping quickly away from me while I swipe any remaining liquid from my skin with the dry sleeve of my shirt. Dee returns a few moments later, and the next thing I know, I'm taking a glass full of liquid right to my face. Too stunned for a second to react, I just stand there, agape, as the cold water runs off my chin and down my chest. At least it's taking away any remaining sting from the hot tea. Dee is also just standing there, frozen, clutching an empty glass in one hand with her jaw hanging open and her eyes wide with what appears to be horror. That's a new look for her. "Shit, Jem, I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting you to be there. You made me jump. Are you okay?" "I've been better," I mutter through clenched teeth. She actually looked chastened, and her gaze drops from my face to my chest. A strange sort of gurgling sound emanates from her, and her eyes seem to widen. "I had no idea you were so fit," she says in a strangled-sounding voice. "Really? That's the comment you're going to make when you've just scalded me with hot tea?" I'm not sure why her compliment aggravates me so much, but it does. Maybe because I suddenly feel exposed, standing here half-naked in front of her. I fold my arms across my chest, just below where my skin is still stinging a little from the burn. Looking down, I see it's only a bit pink and so a pretty minor injury, thank goodness. "Sorry, I really am sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable about, your body on top of everything else," she whispers. Huh. This is a totally different Dee to the cocky, self-centered one I'm used to seeing. When I look back into her eyes, I see with a shock that they've welled with tears. "Hey, don't worry about it," I say on reflex, giving a small shrug. I feel bad now for being so snappy. There's an uncomfortable pause where she blinks hard, trying to clear the tears. God, this is weird. and uncomfortable. My heart rate seems to have picked up again, and I can feel my pulse throbbing in my throat. Important to exercise when you're sitting at a desk all day, I say, gruffly, to break the tense silence. I go climbing at the wall, so I need to be fit for that too. Oh, right, yeah, I guess so, she says. Well, I didn't mean to get so personal. I think it was the shock that made me blurt out the first thing that came into my head. Her gaze isn't meeting mine now. She's embarrassed. Another first. I didn't mean anything by it, she says, still staring at my chest. It was just an observation. You're always wearing such baggy shirts, so I've never really thought about your body before. There's another weird, tense pause while we both digest what she's just said. Anyway, do you need anything else to put on that burn? She asks, brightly now, apparently determined to pretend there's nothing strange going on here. A cold flannel or something? She's still not looking me in the eye, and a strange kind of prickly shiver runs over my whole body. What the hell? No, I'm fine. The water you threw all over me did the job, I say, trying to keep my own tone light now. Okay, good. Another awkward pause. Do you have another shirt to wear? Or should I put this one in the wash? Bea might have a big jumper you can borrow for a bit. I could look in her wardrobe. Don't worry, I have my gym kit with me, so I've got a t-shirt I can put on. She just nods once, then starts to hobble back away from me. Finally, looking me in the eye, she says, Well, I'll leave you to it then. I'll stay in my room so you don't need to worry about me attacking you with any more tea. She flashes me a smile now, and I see the old mischievous Dee has returned, which I'm relieved about. I was feeling really odd about seeing her so unsure of herself. She limps away without another word, and I stare after her for a moment before going back into the office, pulling my gym t-shirt out of my bag and putting it on. The burn prickles a little as the material brushes my skin, but I ignore it. I also ignore the squirming heat in my belly. After making myself a fresh cup of tea, I sit back at my desk and stare at the screen with unseeing eyes until I finally manage to pull myself together and get back to work, pushing away a lingering, unsettled sort of feeling in my chest.
Chapter 3. Delilah. What the hell happened there? It was the weirdest thing. The moment Jem whipped off his shirt after I accidentally showered him with hot tea, my whole nervous system went into overdrive, and I lost the ability to control my speech. I have no idea why the sight of him half naked fried my brain like it did, but I was suddenly reduced to the mental state of an inexperienced 13-year-old girl. Not that having a hot bod makes Jem any less annoying. He's got a knack of knowing exactly how to cause me maximum pain and humiliation, and he uses it to full effect whenever he can. The guy's a pain in my butt. Unfortunately, this thought only leads me to wonder what his butt looks like naked, which I really, really don't want to be thinking about right now. Not when I'm in this state. He's annoying and frustrating, and I absolutely do not care what he looks like naked. I've no idea why I'm thinking about him like this. He's nothing like the cool, fun guys I usually date. He's totally not my type. I lower myself carefully onto Bea's bed and prop my foot back up on the cushions, then lie down, making sure my swollen ankle is above my heart. Bloody know-it-all Jem. Pulling my phone out of my back pocket, which is difficult because I'm lying on it, I open one of my social apps and blindly scroll through it. To my annoyance, all I can see is the vision of Jem's honed chest and muscular arms in front of my eyes. Grr! Why am I feeling like this? It must be a delayed reaction to the shock of hurting myself and having to go to hospital earlier. That has to be the explanation. That's why my heart is racing and my whole body feels hot and kind of fizzy, like there's static under my skin. I need a distraction. If only Jem had given me something to do. I'm going to be so bored lying here on my own, and I'm in too much pain to sleep. I stare around the room, taking in the characteristic neatness of my sister's domain. Everything is in its place and scrupulously clean. It's the complete opposite of my own bedroom. Ugh. How the hell am I going to get up all those stairs to my attic flat with one leg out of action? I wonder whether Bea would mind me crashing here for a couple of days, just till I'm a bit more mobile. I'm sure she won't. She's a good one like that, always looking out for me, unlike my bloody parents. In fact, I think landing the job at the hotel provoked the first compliment I can remember ever getting from my dad. After a god-awful row that I had with him over a restaurant dinner a while ago, he'd stopped my allowance, which was covering my living expenses while I was between jobs, till I grew up a bit. So being able to wave getting the events role in his face was satisfaction personified. It was weird and gratifying to see a look of almost humbled approval on his face. I actually went home and cried happy tears after seeing him for once, which is why I can't lose this job now and why I begged Bea so hard to step in for me today. I don't want that one sweet memory of my father's admiration to be obliterated by his subsequent return to disappointment. Hence all the subterfuge. But it's all part of growing up, right? Becoming an adult, learning how to turn opportunities to your advantage. You have to have agency these days to get anywhere in life, as I've come to discover after struggling to hold on to a permanent position after graduating from art college. You see, I'm actually an artist, at least an aspiring one. I've yet to make it to the big time and actually start to sell my art, so the opportunity to be in a position to persuade Jonah to hang some of my paintings in the hotel, where wealthy people are bound to see them, felt like a gift from the gods. Another worrying thought suddenly occurs to me. How am I going to get around to the hotel all day tomorrow with my leg out of action? I can sometimes cover a lot of ground on a day-to-day basis as I move about the place doing my job. Jonah is not going to be happy with me if I'm not up to my usual speed, which, to be fair, isn't exactly speedy. But I've not been working there very long, and I'm still winding up to top gear. No point in panicking right now, though, when there's nothing I can practically do about the situation. I need to find out how it went today first, anyway. Maybe I should watch a movie to while away some time, just till Bea gets home. I've watched 1.5 movies and started the first episode of a new series before I hear Bea finally coming in through the front door to the flat. I sit up against the pillows, wincing as pain shoots through my ankle when I shift it on the cushions. I'm desperate to hear how she's done at my work today, so I'm staring at the door in anticipation when she walks through it with a smile on her face and colour on her cheeks. So, how did it go? Did the event run okay? I ask her, feeling tension twanging in my shoulders. If not, there's a good chance I'll be out of a job and back to square one with my life plan. But of course, my practically perfect sister's not about to let that happen. It went really well, she says breathlessly. I relax in increments as she runs me through how brilliant she's been today. Then she drops the bombshell that my boss is still thinking about firing me. He hates my marketing plan, or what I've been able to scrabble together of it so far, at least. Hell. I guess I was kind of expecting it. I've not exactly been smashing it at work recently. What I'm not expecting is for my sister to announce she's going to save my bacon by holding one of her friends' festivals at the hotel this coming weekend, and that she's happy to keep going in as me to make sure it runs okay. I just need to clear it with Jem, but otherwise I'm good for it, she says, but I can see from the expression on her face that she's going to make sure he agrees, whether he wants to or not. She's excited about doing it. I'm really surprised by this. I expected her to be desperate to get back to her business here with Jem, but it seems like she's actually fired up about getting the hotel back on its feet, which I guess is a great outcome for me. Okay, then, let's go for it, I say, ignoring a niggle of worry about how bored I'm going to be for the next few days, sitting alone here in her flat while I recover. Perhaps I can use her desk and work on the marketing plan while she's at the hotel. If Jem doesn't lock me out of the office, that is. There's a freaky squeezing sensation in my chest at the idea of being around him for the next few days. It's probably just irritation, though, so I push all thoughts of him away. He's of no significance right now. Unlike Jonah, I wonder whether he was in any way aware that he was around my sister today instead of me. It's unsettling to think we're so easily interchangeable. We're very different in so many ways, but then, with only cursory attention paid, it would be easy to mix us up, I guess. Apart from us having different hair. So how did you get away with your new hairstyle? I ask her, pointing at her long curtain of blonde hair that she's had since we were little. I, on the other hand, chopped mine into a sleek bob ages ago, via a few other hairstyles. Partly because I like to change up my appearance on a regular basis, but also to set me apart from my sister. We've grown more distant since we were little kids, but I've always needed to have my own identity, outside of being an identical twin, especially since my counterpart is as shit-hot as Bee is. Comparison breeds the mother of all insecurity. I need you to cut it off for me, Bee states to my utter amazement. It seems she's going all in with this ruse and is even prepared to change her appearance for it. While I'm grateful for her dedication to help me keep my job, I'm shocked that she's willing to do something so radical. And if I'm honest, I'm not entirely happy about her aping my style. But who am I to complain right now? She's doing this for me, so my qualms need to shut the hell up. So I say, okay, grab the kitchen scissors and I'll chop it off for you. Which is why, when Jem pokes his head around Bee's bedroom door to let her know he's heading off home, we're sitting side by side, staring at ourselves in the mirror and marvelling at exactly how alike we look. Whoa, he says, looking between us, then fixing his gaze on Bee. What happened to your hair? So I guess there must still be something different enough about us if Jem can tell us apart on first glance. I experience a swell of hurt as he completely ignores me to hold a conversation with Bee, as if I'm just her pale reflection. Looking away from them, I stare down at the screen of my phone as they discuss business, relieved when Bee gets off the bed to go and conduct her conversation with him outside the room, so I don't have to studiously keep my eyes off his fit body under that fitted gym t-shirt, the naked image of which I now can't unsee. It's been burned onto my vision, like a ghostly echo after you've looked at something that's too bright. As I predicted, when Bee comes back into the room, she suggests I stay here in her flat and that she goes to stay in mine till my ankle's recovered enough.